Welcome to today's webcast presentation, Design and BIM Managers, How Industry Trends Are Changing How Projects Are Delivered. My name is Beth Brooks, Director of Sales for Civil and Structural Engineer Media, published by Zweig Group. Thank you for joining this webcast, which is sponsored by Bentley Systems. Before we begin today's presentation, first some general information about the webcast and the GoToWebinar platform. The views of the speakers and organizations participating in this webcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Civil and Structural Engineer or its publisher, Zweig Group. If you have any technical difficulties while viewing this webcast, please submit questions or a brief explanation of your technical problem using the Q&A tab on the dashboard, and a representative will assist you. During the webcast, you can also submit questions to our speakers using the same Q&A tab. Submit your questions at any time, and we will try to answer as many as we can later in the webcast. Zweig Group encourages group learning for our events. If you are viewing the live webcast with a group on one registered person's computer, that person must complete and submit the multiple viewer registration form for the group in order for everyone to earn credit. Download the multiple viewer registration form from the Handouts tab on the webcast dashboard. Submission instructions are on the form. A certificate of completion is also available in the Handouts tab. Be sure to download that file at the conclusion of the webinar to earn your PDH. Viewers of archived webcasts must pass a quiz in order to download a certificate of completion. About the speaker, Mark Coates. Mark is a former quantity surveyor with extensive background in global project delivery. He has worked on numerous infrastructure projects, consulting asset owners and their advisors on technology adoption focused on attaining better project results while being conscious of time, cost, and quality. He currently leads Bentley Systems' go-to-market strategy for the architecture, engineering, and construction industry, keeping a keen eye on the latest industry trends and their impact on the delivery of successful projects. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mark.
Hi Beth, thank you very much for that introduction, and good evening, good morning, or good afternoon to wherever you are. As Beth says, my background is a quantity surveyor, and as you can tell from my voice, I'm not a local person. So therefore, I thought I'd give a quick explanation of what a quantity surveyor does. So basically, I went to the source of all information, Wikipedia, and put in quantity surveyor. A quantity surveyor is a construction industry professional with expert knowledge in construction costs and contracts. They are not to be confused with building surveyors or land surveyors. But I also, having worked on numerous projects, I've met numerous clients have come up with their own definitions. Some of them I've found quite interesting. So as you can see on the right hand side, a number of definitions of stages of a project, but the one in particular is quantity surveyors, people who go in after the war is lost, the bayonet the wounded, which I think is a more fair example of what a QS can do. My first project over the years was back in '92, which was the first infrastructure project I did. It was to basically deliver a bridge over a main railway line. An example would be the main San Francisco to LA railway line. We were given two windows of opportunity. One opportunity was to take down the existing bridge, and the other was to rebuild a new bridge. In both cases, we were given 55 hours. That means the railway line was closed at 10 p.m. on the Friday and reopened again at 5 p.m. on the Monday morning. So again, apologies for these pictures, because actually at the time of taking, iPhones had yet to be invented. So we use this new method of construction that everybody's talking about today, off-site construction. As I said, this was back in the 90s. Heathrow has just announced that the project will be delivered with completely no hot or wet trades on site. It's good to see that construction is keeping up with adoption speeds of normal. So after that, I'm moving forward to 2013, Crossrail is where I found the joys of data. Crossrail at the time, for those who don't know, was the largest civil engineering project in Europe and was where I first came into contact with Bentley. This report, as you can see highlighted on the left, was carried out in 2014. Because of the size of the project, there was a lot of eyes on the use of tech and innovation. Two main points that the report covered were here. Innovation had to be baked into any project, large or small, from the beginning of the project, and has to be one of the core goals of the team. The second is collaboration. This project wasn't being run by one main contractor. At its height, it had between 15 and 20 tier one general contractors working on the project. Most working in JVs, and therefore in the joint venture there could be 3 companies. Thus 60% were using a new process that they were unaware of. So once the JV had been completed, obviously the other aspect was data. With projects being involved, they needed to be able to share and collaborate. Now, collaborate is obviously we do very, very well. As you can see, simple collaboration here is just getting electricity out of the wall and into our TVs and stereos, and we still can't come up with one uniform selection. But why collaboration? Collaboration is key for productivity. We're hearing things from McKinsey and other institutes about this industry 4.0, the industrial revolution. Over the last 15 years, we've been moving from slow desktop machines to laptops and now tablets and phones. Other words are being bandied around: AI, blockchain, IoT. But because of this major change and the tsunami of data that is now available, there is now a skills gap becoming available in our IT. Those who do and those who don't. So why the urgency to change and make going digital a common practice? One simple reason: productivity. We are the last bastion of change, and one of the reports bandied around a great deal is the McKinsey report of 2015, where construction, depending on your location, either sits in at 23 or 24, which obviously you can see recently with the influx of finance coming into construction software, there's a great abundance of change about to become. So this productivity gap, keeping focused on one market, the UK for example, but there isn't much difference in concept if you look at other markets. If the UK kept up with manufacturing since the mid-90s, construction could be delivering more than 100 billion of additional economic growth in the UK and providing more than 40 billion in additional tax revenue. Industries that have adopted technology, both in the office and in the field, are seeing productivity gains. The red line depicts where construction is today, showing negligible growth over the last 20 years. So what does this mean for the future of our sites? Does it mean that we're all going to be working like the Minority Report, which in fact was released in 2002? So children born in 2002 will soon be entering our employment pool. But if you think about it, we are actually going that way with exoskeletons, on our own advancements with Synchro, and our partnership with Microsoft and HoloLens. So why the need to change? I'm still surprised by the amount of information collected on paper. Back on my first project where I started in 1992, yes, and to coin a phrase, it was either written on the back of a cigarette packet or even a notebook. And we've obviously advanced now to mobile apps. Paper, collection with paper is still based, you look at delivery tickets. The issues are poor handwriting, 2D flat sketches, poor distribution, duplication, and obviously the data is out of date. The major raise in mobile apps has now given us the ability to control and have more accurate data. No fields can be skipped, so therefore the data is all as required, and then more importantly, it's live and up to date. So I'd like to release our first poll that we're running today, and just to see if the answers confirm or are in alignment with the survey that we have carried out. Beth, can you release the first question? So the survey that Bentley carried out on a global level was involving over 720 business professionals. The survey has actually shown that almost half, 43.3%, well, looking at the pool and the figures, it's not much different from our own figures. Our figures of 720 business professionals globally surveyed, the survey has shown us that almost half the business, 43.3%, have limited or no insights into company or project performance. These professionals are either not collecting the data or collecting the data manually instead of digitally. Beth, can you release question number 2, please? Same question we asked. Our global market was basically 40% still had limited or no capability. Beth, question number 3, please. Again, similar results. 38% have limited or to no workflow capabilities. And the final question, Beth, please. Again, a pretty similar result with 44%. The results of the survey have come just 1 month after the British government's largest contractor, Interserve, went bankrupt following spiralling project costs. A year earlier, global contractor Carillion collapsed after losing $614 million on contracts in the Middle East and Canada and $490 million on problem contracts in the UK. It just shows the complexity of today's projects and the amount of data available and the essential requirements to have project insight. In short, the world is changing, but oftentimes we are not keeping up. Projects have become more complex, new standards of work have been introduced, and project leaders are facing increased expectations to drive better project outcomes. And this is digital transformation that has swept the industry. Those who can successfully adapt are clearly ahead of the pack. This slide highlights trends of work, including greater volumes of complexity project information, collaboration amongst global distributed project teams, demonstrating complexity of proven BIM best practices, increasing requirements for reporting and transparency, delivering results is an increasing competitive landscape. Those who can adapt to these trends are in a better position to remain competitive and deliver these best results. Those who aren't risk falling behind the curve. So how do you unlock these benefits of digital construction? I call it the 4 Ps. So you as a collective are ahead of the curve, but as the industry who are moving forward may not be as fast as some who would like, but are moving forward. So for those that are in that route, it doesn't matter where you are in this route. It's all good. It's all good to look back and see how far you have come. We have developed these simple guidelines. Prepare for it, pilot it, probe it, process it. Prepare for it. Tech is here and readily available, but we are the biggest battle. We need to alter our mindsets, going back into the Crossrail slide of earlier and how our own findings buy-in is a must at all level. Example of preparation. Thinking from the start how changes made will be beneficial, i.e. improving productivity, reducing risk, enabling more proactive project management and using that to get a buy-in. Conveying how new ways of storing and managing information can help your team find information faster, minimize lost information and design errors. Demonstrating how workflows more in line with BIM best practices can help your team work faster with greater confidence in information and less rework. Pilot it. Don't try and win the war in one day. Look for incremental wins. Wins will be different for each company and for each project. As you prepare, start in smaller pilots and make sure you don't incur delays, risks as you set up, and you have the power to organize before continue going organization wise. If you see new methods you think can streamline team collaboration, implementing those changes with an individual team or silo, engaging the effectiveness before rolling them on a full project. Probe it. The simple RI that I have personally carried out on both Crossrail and the Olympic Village in London was to have 2 members of staff complete the same task, one in the standard traditional way and one using technology, and the time both activities. Multiply the time saving by the number of times the activity is to be in a day, a week, and this gives you this very simple ROI of time saved, or more importantly, time gained.
Hey, Mark, Coates, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but right now our attendees aren't able to see your screen. We're still seeing the results of the poll that I released, the very last poll. I do believe that you need to make an adjustment so that we can see your slides of your presentation.
Okay.
I apologize, attendees. 1 second.
Apologies, or we're just trying to find the problem.
I'm going to show my screen and I'm going to give it back over to you, Mark, and hopefully it'll fix itself.
Apologies, I will start those slides again. So I'll pick up from here. So in short, the world is changing. Both oftentimes we are not keeping up. Projects have become more complex, new standards of work have been introduced, and project leaders are facing increasing expectations to drive better project outcomes. And as this digital transformation has swept the industry, those who can successfully adapt are clearly ahead of the pack. The slide highlights the trends to watch, including greater volumes of complex in project information, collaboration among global distributed project teams, demonstrating competency to proven BIM best practice, increased requirements of reporting and transparency, delivering results, and increasing competitive landscape. Those who can adapt to these trends are in a better position to remain competitive and deliver their best results, while those who aren't risk failing behind the curve. So how do we unlock the benefits of the digital construction market? So you as a collective are ahead of the curve, but as the industry, we are moving forward, and it may not be as fast as some would like to see, but we are moving forward. So for those on that route, and it doesn't matter where you are on that route, it's good to look back and see how far you've come. And we have developed a simple number of guidelines to help you no matter where you are. Prepare for it, pilot it, probe it, process it. Prepare for it. Prepare for it. Tech is here and readily available, but we are the biggest battle. That is us ourselves. We need to alter our mindset. Going back to the Crossrail slide earlier and to our own findings, buy-in is the must. Pilot it. Don't try and win the war in one day. Look for incremental wins. The wins will be different for each company and each project. As you prepare, start in smaller projects and make sure you don't incur delays, risks as you set up. You have the power to optimize before going organizational wide. If you see new methods you think you can streamline team collaboration, implementing these changes within an individual team or silo, engaging their effectiveness before rolling them out on future projects. Probe it. A simple RO that I've personally carried out on both Crossrail and the Olympic Village in London was to have two members of staff complete the same task, one in the standard traditional way and one using technology at the time, and time both activities. Multiply the time saving by the number of times the activity is to be done in a day or a week. And this will give you a very simple ROI of time saved, but more importantly, time gained. Process it. Taking the time saved from probing it, process across your whole business. Look for advocates to sell the story internally. One of the things I personally use to do is internal case studies. We all focus on external case studies, but having a senior member of the team either draft up or present the good, the bad, and the ugly of using the system on site can often bring other members of the team on board. Taking on going digital. It is here, it's going to happen, it's going to move forward. The two figures on the right I find are quite interesting figures from the UK market. We are always over optimistic. In the UK, Network Rail's Thameslink upgrade programme actually rose by 18% from the start of the project, and the number of people using Eurostar rail link between France and UK are only a third of the projected numbers back in 1995. Thank you for your time, and I wonder if you have any questions.
Okay, Mark, thank you so much. The first question I have for you, what was an example of a successful piloting effort that you saw?
I suppose the one that's very easy to convey was one we did with Lend-Lease on the Olympic Village, where it was hot work permits. There was a sort of a backlash and a queue of people waiting in the morning to get the hot work permits before signed off before they could actually start work. And sometimes the wait was between, and 60 minutes and 90 minutes. So we actually trialed a tablet format software of just collecting data for this particular instance, and we managed to reduce that 90-minute wait down to 0. The guys could actually start work, apply the app for the permit, and actually the project managers could actually go out to site and walk around site signing off the permit as they went by using mobile technology, and thus reducing paperwork on site.
Okay, thank you. Second question, when was the time you saw a successful practice used by one team expand in usage across the project?
Again, I would say I worked very closely with ISG on UBS's new head office in London, where they again started off with permits and hot works, and actually that transpired to actually snagging punch lists. Again, the reduction and ROIs were hitting somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes per person per day. But again, they brought it in incrementally across the project, sometimes with some trades and sometimes with others.
Okay, next question. What could be the best successful step to start with digitization of any company with limited resources?
Again, start small, start with one particular project in mind, and actually find out where your biggest bottleneck is. Is it RFIs? Is it punch lists? What is that one particular area that's causing the business the most? And start very slowly with that particular area, because the chance of you getting a positive win out of it are much greater as it's a perceived bottleneck within inside the business.
All right. What kinds of competitive advantages have industry shifts provided projects that leverage them?
I think the main thing is, as an industry, we're working on such tight and small margins. A late drawing, a misdrawing, can cause major problems on site. You don't have to name it. Crossrail is running late. I think the worst one that I personally know of is Berlin Airport, which is running about 9 years late. The ability to just very easily in this day and age miss something is quite a serious effect on the business. So being able to have that project insight to know where project may be stalling, may be floundering, and either add additional services and pick up that problem and resolve it quickly gives the project that ability to make the workflow far greater, which gives the added advantage to those who are doing it. But also clients now are looking more and more into contractors' ability to be digitized and perform to BIM best practice.
Okay, thank you. What are some good ways of navigating reluctance to change in other stakeholders in the organization?
I think it's the simple ROIs, the simple ability to prove that not only is the system time and labor saving, but cost saving, but also liability. The amount of contractors now that will find themselves in court for one reason or the other, and to have that ability to be able to prove and back up, and I wouldn't say protect themselves, but obviously have an insightful idea of how a project is going and be honest with the client, gives a great ability.
Okay, thank you. We've got time for a few more. I work on a complex project with a large amount of information and participants. Have you seen difficulties scaling changes on these types of projects? And if so, how has it been overcome?
Adoption is obviously one of the key things, and adoption on all projects, you have key areas and you have difficult areas. I know coming from my background as a quantity surveyor, we actually linked prompt payment to actually being digitized and being able to apply for payment quicker than the traditional ways. And that was one of the key ways we got a number of the supply chain, the trades across the line.
Okay, and last question. I'm worried that implementing new solutions could disrupt momentum on my project. What are some ways to avoid this issue?
Again, it's not to go for the whole hog, the whole system in one go. It's to find those key areas, those incremental areas that you can grow from, and find the advocates. If you can find people who want to change and are up for change, they will actually spread the word internally inside a business or inside a project, especially if it's giving them back. And what I don't like the word is time saved. It's actually time gained. So if you're able to give a particular trade or a particular individual time back, he will become one of your best advocates.
All right, thank you so much, Mark.
My pleasure.
As we finish up, please download your certificate of completion from the handouts tab, enter your name in it, and print and save a copy of the PDF. Note that the certificate will be available only during the remainder of this webcast. If you missed our note at the beginning and you are watching the live webcast with a group on one person's computer, please download the multiple viewer registration form and complete and submit the form to receive credit. Answers to all of the questions submitted today will be available online within a few days at csengineermag.com/continuing education. Please check there for further discussion about today's topic. Additionally, this webcast has been recorded and will be archived on csengineermag.com/continuing-education. For viewers of archive webcasts, click on the quiz button on the event on the CS Engineer Mag website to take a quiz on the presentation. Archive viewers must pass this quiz in order to download a certificate of completion. I want to thank you, Mark Coates, so much, and everyone who joined us today. And this ends today's webcast.